EchoKids!
Hello, my name is Nadya, and I'm so excited to be able to play for you guys today. Now today I want to talk all about the instrument I play, which is called the oboe. The oboe is part of the woodwind family of instruments. The oboe, like a lot of the other woodwind family of instruments, is made out of wood, which is all of the black parts of the oboe that you see here. And it is also made of metal, which you see here, the silver parts. Now, these silver buttons that you see that I'm placing my fingers on, these are called the keys of the oboe. And as I blow through the instrument and move my fingers on these keys, I can get different notes out of the oboe. So here's an example of that. Did you see how my fingers were moving on the keys? And as I was moving my fingers, the notes on the oboe changed. I think that's really cool about the oboe. That's how I'm able to play these fantastic melodies. Now as I play this next song, I want you to pay special attention to my fingers and how I use my fingers to play this song called Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. The word oboe actually comes from a French word. That French word is oboe, and oboe means high wood. The French called this instrument high wood because the instrument itself, the oboe, is considered a treble instrument or a soprano instrument. This means out of all of the instruments in the world that exist, the oboe has a pretty high range amongst all of them. So this oboe plays pretty high notes compared to a lot of the instruments that exist in the world. Here are some examples of some really high notes that the oboe can play. I'll start low and then I'll make my way up to the highest part of the oboe. So yeah, that's why the oboe is known as a high wood instrument, as the French calls it, because it can go really, really high. And the wood part, of course, comes from the fact that the oboe is typically made out of wood, but it can be also made out of different materials like plastic made to look like wood. But most oboes are made out of wood. So that's why the French called the oboe hautbois, or high wood. Now, another very important part of the oboe that I want to talk about now is called the reed. Now, the reed is this very small part of the instrument that goes at the very top. The reed is made up of two pieces of wood that are tied together by a piece of string to keep the two pieces of wood together. Now, when I blow through the reed, the two pieces of wood vibrate very, very quickly. And these vibrations is what makes up the oboe sound. Without the reed, I would not be able to play the oboe. So this is a very, very special part of the instrument. In order to show you just how special this reed is, I want to play a song for you that features the reed in a very special way. This song is called Old MacDonald Had a Farm. I hope you enjoyed my version of Old MacDonald Had a Farm. As I mentioned before, the reed of the oboe is made up of 2 pieces of wood. Because it is made up of 2 pieces of wood, this is called a double reed instrument. Here's some more of the reed if you would like to hear what it sounds like by itself some more. It's really fun, isn't it? So, in order to make sound with the oboe, you have to be able to blow through the instrument. Now, how I blow through the oboe is I take my lips and I place them around the reed, and then as long as I have the breath, I can blow through the oboe as long as I want. So let's see how long I can play on this oboe before I start to run out of breath. I guess that was kind of a long time. But I love how the oboe can take your own breath and it turns it into this wonderful, beautiful, lovely music. A cool technique that some oboists use to be able to play their instrument even longer without running out of breath is a technique that is called circular breathing. Basically, what circular breathing is you take air in your mouth and you store that air inside your cheeks. And you use your cheeks to blow through the instrument while you use your nose to take another breath. So this is what that would look like. It was very subtle how I use circular breathing, but in comparison to how I was playing before, when I circular breathe, you can kind of see my cheeks puff up just a little bit so I can push the air out of my cheeks into the instrument whenever I'm playing. So then I can use that stored air to play a little bit longer than I can if I'm just using my regular lungs to blow through the instrument. Oboes can be used to play really beautiful, lovely melodies, but because of all of the different kinds of keys and buttons that exist on the oboe, you can really use your fingers to play really, really fast notes and fingerings, which I think is also pretty fun. One technique that sometimes composers use as an effect to make music sound more interesting that they'll write for instruments like the oboe is called a trill, and that's when you go in between 2 different notes really, really fast. So it would sound like this. So in order to play a trill, I use my fingers and I move them really, really fast so I can create just this really nice, fun effect. So here's what a trill would sound like on all different parts of the oboe. It's fun, isn't it? Yeah. So now that we've talked about how we use our fingers to play the oboe and how we use our breath to play the oboe, I think it's also very important that we talk about how we use our tongues to play the oboe. So as we play the oboe and as we use our breath to blow through the instrument and we use our fingers to change the notes, in order to start a note, in order to begin a note, we use our tongues to say ta. And whenever we say ta, we touch our tongues to the tip of the reed. So as I'm blowing and I'm playing, I'm also saying ta, 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 ta. So it would sound like this. Ta, 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 ta. Every ta that I say is me touching the tip of my tongue to the reed. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, ta, ta. And if you speed that up, you can make sounds like this on the oboe. So that was just me saying ta really, really fast. So here's an example of how I can use tonguing to play a song. The song that I'm going to play next is Yankee Doodle. And as I play the song, take note of how I use my tongue to play the melody of the song. One way that oboists practice tonguing is just by saying ta, which is something that you guys can do. So first we would start off by saying ta, ta. Feel free to say ta along with me. So we would practice by saying ta, 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 and then slowly speed that up. So we would start like this. Ta, 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 getting faster, ta, 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 until you can go really, really fast. And then once you can say ta really, really fast, then you can switch on over to the oboe and then play as many notes as you want. Now, some of you might have noticed that the oboe does look kind of similar to another instrument of the woodwind family, the clarinet. But the oboe and the clarinet are very different, even though they look very similar. Although both of them are made of wood and metal, like I said before, the oboe plays on a double reed, while the clarinet plays on a single reed, or just one piece of wood. Another difference in between the clarinet and the oboe is that although the clarinet is shaped like a cylinder, the oboe is shaped like a cone. So even though it kind of looks like just it goes straight up and down, the oboe actually gets wider as you go down, and it actually flares out at the bottom at this part, which is called the bell. The oboe itself is made up of 3 different parts. The first part of the oboe is called the upper joint. And this is what it looks like here. All of the different parts of the oboe separate so it can fit inside its case. So I'll be showing you each of these parts individually. So this is the upper joint. This is the top half of the instrument. The next part of the oboe is called the lower joint. And this is what this looks like. As you can see, it kind of looks the same as the upper joint. It's made up of keys, it has the wood, and this makes up most of the bottom section. So this is the lower joint of the oboe. And like I mentioned earlier, the last part is called the bell. And it's called that because it actually does kind of look like a bell. This is the part of the oboe that the sound comes out of. So whenever you're blowing through the oboe, all the sound comes out here at the bottom. And this is why the oboe can be so easily heard, because the bell is built in a way that the sound can travel everywhere in a room. So you can easily hear an oboe above many other instruments. So this is the bell. And then when you put together all of the instruments, lower joint goes to the bell. The upper joint goes inside of the lower joint. Here we have our oboe. Another thing that I think is really, really cool about the oboe is as you go from low notes to high notes, the sound of the oboe can become really, really different and unique. I want to play Baby Shark for you guys, and as I play through this song, I want you guys to think about how different notes can sound different from each other based on if they're low or if they're high. So here's Baby Shark. Whenever composers or people who write music for the oboe, usually they give the oboe the melody of the song. This is because whenever you're listening for the melody of a certain song, you want the melody to be easily heard by everyone. And because of the way that the oboe is built, it is built to be easily heard by people because of its unique sound. Now I'm going to play some songs that you all probably have heard at some point in your life. Now, as I play these songs, I want you guys to listen to the sound of the oboe and how the oboe is being used to beautifully play these nice, lovely melodies. First, I will start with Mary Had a Little Lamb. Now, here's where you vote. Now, here is the alphabet song. Feel free to sing along. As you heard in those last three songs, the oboe is very good at playing smooth or legato melodies. This is why I love playing the oboe. When I was looking for an instrument to play when I was about 11 or 12 years old, once I heard the sound of the oboe, it made me feel very happy, and I wanted to play the oboe just as well as my teacher did before me. Playing the oboe makes me feel really good because the oboe has such a unique and lovely sound. I want to show you guys how happy playing the oboe makes me feel. So I want to play for you the song if you're happy and you know it. So feel free to clap along if the oboe makes you feel happy too. Like I've said before, the oboe is very good at playing long singable melodies or legato melodies. But the oboe can also play very short staccato notes. I will demonstrate this by playing Rain, Rain, Go Away, and I will play it in the long legato style and also in the short note staccato style. As I'm playing this, pay attention very closely to the differences between these two styles. By using the oboe to play in different kinds of ways, switching in between the legato, long, smooth style and the shorter, lighter, bouncy style, we can use the oboe to play music that tells stories. As I play this next song for you, which is called The Itsy Bitsy Spider, pay attention to how I play the different parts of the song and how I use the short notes and the longer notes to tell the amazing story of this spider. Sing along if you know this story too. In the Itsy Bitsy Spider, not only did I use shorter notes and longer notes to tell the story of this spider, but I also made sure to play quietly, or I made sure to play loudly, depending on what was going on in the song. To show more about how the oboe can go from really soft to really loud, I want to play Take Me Out to the Ball Game. First, I'll do it very, very quietly. Then I'll get louder, and then I'll play super, super loud. So as I play this next song, keep in mind of how softly I start, and then how loud I can get. And feel free to whisper, and then yell with me as I get louder. Thank you all so much for listening to me today. I hope you guys enjoyed all the songs and all the fun that we had as much as I did. The last thing I want to play for you is something that you might recognize. So again, thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope you had a good time learning all about the oboe. Thank you.